Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, July 3rd. We wrap up the first days of trading in July and the shortened holiday week today as investors await the latest jobs data due out ahead of the opening bell. Today's moves follow a mixed day on Wall Street yesterday. The NASDAQ climbed into the green, adding 190 points or about 1%. The S&P 500 also finished higher, gaining 29 points or about 0.5%. The Dow ended essentially flat, giving up 10 points or 0.02%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching S&Ps. We're up 0.17%. I'd call it a cautious move higher. I mean, this number's coming out. These gains are coming out before the non-farm payrolls report, which is due out an hour before the opening bell. And yesterday you had the ADP report came in a lot weaker than expected. So there's a little concern here with it. The non-farm payrolls won't hit the number that's expected, but we'll keep an eye on it. But right now we're showing gains of 0.17% the S&Ps this morning. Overnight in Washington, those House Republicans really worked through a number of significant internal resistant issues to President Trump's tax bill. I gotta tell you, it looks like it's going to pass sometime today and be on his desk for the July 4th date, which is what they were expecting. The Trump administration did ease some curbs on chip design software to China. That's a positive. TripAdvisor, ticker TRIP, trading higher this morning. Starboard Value Fund is taking a 9% position in the company. Amazon, Target, retailers, they've got these big sales events and they're trading higher today. That's interesting to watch. But, there's a lot of economic reports coming out today. In addition to the non-farms payroll, you get the trade deficit, you get the weekly jobless claims, you get the purchasing manager indexes for services, the PMI for services index coming out today. So there's a lot to keep an eye on. And then, we'll kind of turn our attention over to Europe, and Europe is flat to higher. I mean, you got the DAX trading up 24 points. Good to see. Supported by gains in techs and autos. FTSE's higher by 45 points. Banks and oil stocks are showing gains. The CAC is off by 0.05%. It's mostly due to some weakness in luxury stocks. But the improved global market sentiment is based on trade relations, and things look a little better than they did a couple of months ago. That's for sure. Then we're looking over at Asia last night, and the Nikkei gained 23 points, which isn't much, at 0.06%. Autos moved higher, but the trade discussions with the U.S., that's the real driver behind the sentiment here. And Japan wants a win-win situation. I don't think they're going to get it. Hong Kong fell 151 points at 0.63%. Saw some weakness in consumers, financial, and tech shares, but China, moved higher by 0.18% with strong moves in tech stocks as the U.S. lifted export restrictions on chip design software to China. That was good to see. Then we'll take a look at oil this morning. Oil is trading lower, down about 0.5%. WTI is at $67.12 a barrel. Brent is at $68.78 a barrel. Yesterday we had a big spike. Oil, gained over 2%, closer to 3%, based on Iran coming out against the nuclear watchdog energy group, giving them inspections that caused some tensions to push into oil. But right now, oil is paying attention to this weekend's OPEC meeting, where they're expected to release another production hike. So yeah, that's going to likely weaken oil prices in the near future. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as we prepare for tomorrow's holiday, as you mentioned, a bunch of economic data due out today, including that non-farms payroll, because, we're kind of getting double duty ahead of the holiday. So we're going to get to all of those in just a moment. This also, as investors, you pointed out, are watching that bill on Capitol Hill, seeing where that may go today, see if it's passed today. So we're keeping an eye on all of that. But before we get to those other market moving headlines, let's make sure we know any earnings action. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings today?
Nothing. Nothing really came out last night. Nothing this morning. Nothing this afternoon. Friday's a holiday. No big ones on Monday morning. So it's quiet on the earnings front, Emily. It's very quiet.
Well, even if there's not much happening on that earnings front, there's plenty of happening on the economic front, as we pointed out. So let's dive in there, Bill. Give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to the day's economic events.
Okay, here we go. 8:30 a.m. We get non-farms payroll. 8:30 a.m. Jobless claims. 8:30 a.m. International trade in goods and services. 10 a.m. Factory orders. 10 a.m. ISM Services Index. 11 a.m. Atlanta Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic will be speaking. Key one this morning was the non-farm payroll. Market's expecting a reading of 110,000 jobs. That follows last month's reading of 139,000 jobs. Kind of shows you the labor market is starting to weaken a little bit. And yesterday's ADP report, I mean, it showed a decline of 33,000 private sector jobs. That's the biggest decrease since March of 2023. So that unexpected loss, there's a lot of question marks. Do these two reports really, does the ADP report really can influence the official non-farms payroll report? The evidence is muted. You can't really say, but it is a cautionary tale. But there's a lot of economic report data coming out today, and of course, that Washington bill is key. And guess what? You know what happens after that Washington bill, the Trump's tax bill gets done. Then they move on to the crypto legislation. So you got to keep an eye on crypto stocks ahead of that legislation. But that's all I have for you in terms of economic update today, Emily.
Bill, that's a lot of information to be watching today. And these are key reports, key indicators, especially that non-farms payroll. It could be market moving. You're using your NewsWare to track all of that, gather that information as it comes out. And you also gather other types of information as it hits the tape, using your NewsWare, breaking it down into alerts. And every morning you're watching things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 24 higher, 5 lower, and 1 unchanged. Then I'm looking at my FANG stocks. They're really all trading higher. I mean, Apple's down a little bit, but everything else is showing gains. That's kind of positive for this morning's market momentum. And then we're kind of turning our attention to see, the latest news that's in the tape. And you look at the FANG stocks, and the Trump administration announced that tariff deal with Vietnam yesterday. Really helped shares of Nike yesterday. Nike saw some big gains yesterday, but in terms of Apple, it doesn't seem to be having a little impact on Apple's margins. And Apple's making a lot of their iPhones in Vietnam these days. Tesla is trading higher, but Tesla's new car sales in Germany were down 60% in June. Year over year, which it's not really positive. Dow Jones 30 stocks, Boeing and the Justice Department seek the judge's approval for a deal, which is being opposed by the crash victims of the families, but they are seeking that deal. That would be positive for Boeing stock. Microsoft doing some more layoffs, it was announced. What else? We have shareholders meetings, Plug Power, ticker PLUG. They're having a shareholders meeting today at 10 a.m. Luminaire Technologies, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 11 a.m. In terms of catalyst calls, we've got to talk about Datadog, DDOG, stocks trading higher. David, Oscar Grace, they're replacing Juniper in the S&P 500 on July 9th. Crown Holdings, CCK, Charlie Kilo, Citibank places them on a 90-day positive catalyst watch list and up since price target. That's all I got for you for news and pre-market this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Though you're making this pick pre-market ahead of that non-farm payrolls and on the last day of trading before a long holiday weekend. Sifting through this data this morning, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with Boeing, ticker BA. Boy, Apple. there's a story out there about the plane deliveries could be a real positive for the stock, and that really is key. Then you got the Justice Department, and looking to kind of get a judge to sign off on that deal. That would be really positive for the stock as well. So, yeah, I kind of like the opportunity here. I mean, looking at yesterday's call volume, and I could see 73,000 calls traded at 21,000 puts. It's 3 to 1. Open interest 544K versus puts of 523K. That's still positive. Major brokers, they know it's a turnaround story. They're positive on the stock. But you got the non-farm payrolls. So I normally I'd say 212 is my entry price, so somewhere around there. Non-farm payroll report, if it's weak, and Boeing drops, it could trade to the 210 area, but I like Boeing. I think Boeing's set up for a nice gain today. So I'm going to say shares of Boeing, ticker BA, Boy Apple, as my pick of the day, Emily.
We will follow Boeing along with you today, see if we get a gain there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day, so stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, Thermo Fisher announced FDA approved one of its drugs. Okay, TMO. Krispy Kreme announces a new chief financial officer. Synopsys and S&PS up 5% in the pre-market following the lifting of China export restrictions. Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky are expected to have a call tomorrow. Looks like they're going to discuss a pause to U.S. weapons deliveries in the call. Datadog replacing Juniper in the S&P 500 on July 9th. That's a big one. UNH trading higher. I mean, yesterday, the stock was getting hit because of that withdrawal of guidance from Sentin. Alibaba, ticker BABA, moving lower as Alibaba is proposing a 1.5 billion exchangeable bond offering. Time to start looking at re-looking at some of these Chinese stocks. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off for the long weekend and get to trading on this Thursday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Palantir. They made this pick as we were watching, news of that mega bill in Washington. This was also after news came out that Palantir and Blue Forge Alliance were launching that Warp Speed for Warships program, hoping to get this one at a discount and get a gain from there. Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out really well. I mean, stock opened up at 131.47, then fell to 130.19. Remember, I set an entry price of 130 to 130.50. So, cut it in half, 130.25. And it did fall into that range. And then it rallied to 133.45 and closed out at 132.12. And this morning, if you look at the stock, it's already hit a high of 133.49. It's currently offered at 133.22. So, yeah, no matter where you got in, whether the opening price or my suggested entry price, that was a winner. That delivered that 1% gain that we shoot for. So Palantir was a winner yesterday. PLTR, yay, yay, yay.
No matter how you slice it there, Bill, that was a win, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's Boeing pick of the day. A reminder that markets are closed tomorrow in observance of the 4th of July holiday. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.